Hello, teacher. My name is Alexandra Torres. I am 23 years old. I live in Carimanga City, and this is my ID credential. Today, I'm going to talk about the aspect, tense, and voice in a mind map. Okay, here you can see the mind map that I'm going to use to explain. So, we are going to explain the first, that is aspect. Okay, aspect. Aspect is the expression of the temporal structure of an action or state. Aspect in English express ongoing action or state with or without distinct end points. English has 4 aspects: simple, progressive, perfect, and perfect progressive. We are going to start with simple. The simple aspect is the default aspect of the simple present and simple past tense. The simple aspect expresses single action, habits, and routines. For the formation of the simple present and simple past verbs, the simple aspect can be confusing because it does not make clear if the action is a complete action or a habitual action. For example, she dances. This is a fact. However, it is unclear whether this action is habitual or just a fact. To provide more context, on Mondays, she dances. Now, it is clear that this is an habitual action, not just a fact. It is not a complete action, since it happens every Monday. Now, we are going to explain the progressive. The progressive aspect expresses incomplete or ongoing action or states at a specific time. It is the opposite of the perfect or complete aspect that tell us that an action or state has been complete. We can often recognize the progressive aspect from the use of the inflection ing. For example, the use of the progressive aspect in I am floating the book indicates that I start floating the book in the past, and I am still floating the book in the present and presumably the future. The formula for forming the present progressive is simple present to be plus present participle. The formula for forming the past progressive is simple past to be plus present participle. Now I'm going to explain the perfect. Perfect aspect or complete aspect, as it's sometimes called, express the consequence resulting from a previous action or state. In other words, perfect aspect is a collective term for all the verbs in the past tense, present tense, or future tense in a perfect tense. For example, I have floated the book. The use of the perfect aspect in I have floated the book focus on the end result of my floating the book, my having floated the book, as opposed to the process of floating the book. The formula for forming the present perfect is simple present to have plus past participle. The formula for forming the past perfect is simple past to have plus past participle. Now we are going to talk about the perfect progressive. The perfect progressive aspect expresses incomplete or ongoing action or states that began in the past and continue to a specific time. For example, the use of the perfect progressive aspect in I have been floating the book indicates that I start floating the book in the past and continue to float the book until a specific point in time, at which I stop floating the book. The formula for floating the present perfect progressive is simple present to have plus per participle to be plus per present participle. And the formula for forming the past perfect progressive is simple past to have past participle to be and plus perfect participle. Okay, it's everything for aspect. Now we are going to pass to the tense. Okay, tense. In the English language, tense is used to represent the time of an action. Among the two English tenses, the present tense is used to talk about what is happening in the current time. The two English tenses that we are going to talk about now are present and past. The present tense refers to the action or event that takes place or is taking place in the present. It represents the current activity or the present state of being of the subject in the given context. The present tense can be used in 4 different forms: simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, and present perfect continuous tense. The simple present tense, used to indicate the current action or an action that takes place regularly. The present continuous tense, used to denote an action that is continuing at the present moment. Present perfect tense, used to indicate an action that is used to denote an action that is indefinite and still has its effect on the subject or object in the sentence. And the last, the present perfect continuous tense is used to represent an action that began in the recent past and still continuing. Now we are going to talk about the past tense. The past tense express situations or action that took place in the past, situations or action that took place in the past. And although it can be in recent or distant past, its duration is not important. It should only be important to be understood that they have already ended. We use the past tense to talk about the past, to talk about hypotheses, and for polytenesis. There are 4 past tense forms in English: the simple past, the past progressive, and the past perfect. The simple past. The simple past is used to talk about action or events that were complete in the past. The past of regular verb is formed by adding ed to the end of the infinitive form. For example, cook becomes cooked. The past tense of irregular verbs don't follow a particular pattern and can be formed in various ways. For example, sing becomes sang. Past progressive. The past progressive is used to refer to an action or event that was taking place at a time in the past. It can be used to indicate that an ongoing past action was interrupted by another action, or that 2 past actions were occurring at the same time. The past progressive is formed using the past tense of be, was, were, along with the present participle ing form of the main verb. The next is the past perfect. The past perfect is used to indicate that a past action or event took place prior to another past action or event. It can also be used in conditional sentences to talk about a hypothetical past event. The past perfect is formed using the auxiliary verb had and the past participle of the main verb. And the last one is the past perfect progressive. The past perfect progressive is used to indicate that an action began in the past and continue up until another time in the past. The past perfect progressive is formed by adding the auxiliary verbs had and been before the present participle of the main verb. Right, that's all the explanation that I have for the tense. And now we are going to pass to the last one, that is voice. Okay, voice. Voice is the expression of relationship between the predicate and nominal function. English has two voices. The active voice and the passive voice. Now I'm going to explain the active voice. In the active voice, the subject performs the action of or acts upon the verb, and the direction object receives the action of the verb. Use it when you want the reader to focus on the subject of your sentence and the action it is doing rather than on the action target. It is direct, it uses a direct and clear tone. You use it when you want the reader to focus on the subject of your sentence and the action it is doing rather than on the action targets. Okay, now I'm going to explain the passive voice. The passive voice. The subject receives the action of the transitive verb. Every sentence in the past voice contains two verbs, a conjugated form of to be and the main verb's past participle. For example, you can see there in active and passive voice two examples. In the first, the sentence, I read the book, is in the active voice because the subject I performs the action of reading and the direct object, the book receives the action of reading. In the sentence, the book is read by me. The book is conjugated form of to be. Read, past participle of the main verb, and by the preposition. Okay. Understanding how aspect, tense, and voice work is crucial for producing coherent texts and ensuring clarity in syntax during this course. These linguistic features play a significant role in shaping the structure of sentence and conveying the intended meaning effectively. Aspect refers to the way action or events are viewed in relation to time. It helps to establish the duration, completion, or ongoing nature of an action, enabling the reading or listener to determine the temporal order of events by using appropriate aspect markers, such as have or was, were. Writers and speakers can provide essential information about the sequence and timing of action, thus improving coherence in their text production. Tense. Tense, on the other hand, conveys the time of an action or event relative on the present, past, or future. Proper usage of tense not only ensures grammatical correctness, but also aids in creating a cohesive narrative or discourse. By employing the correct tense, writing and speakers can maintain temporal consistency, avoiding confusion and changing the overall coherence of their writing or speech. And voice. Voice, whether active or passive, determines the relationship between the subject and the action in a sentence. Understanding voice is essential for conveying information accurately and clearly. Active voice is often favored in current text, producing as it allows for greater clarity and directness. However, passive voice can also be used effectively to shift focus or emphasize certain elements of a sentence. Recognizing when and how to utilize voice appropriately can significantly enhance the coherence of writing and spoken discourse. In summary, a solid grasp of aspect, tense, and voice in English is indispensable for producing coherent text and ensuring clarity in syntax during discourse. These linguistic elements not only contribute to grammatical accuracy, but also enable effective communication by conveying the intended meaning and maintaining structural consistency. By mastering these features, writers and speakers can create and coherent text productions, facilitating comprehension and engagement with their audience. Okay, teacher, that's all my presentation are all the explanation that I have for today. Thank you and see you the next time.